What's good, everybody? Today is August 22nd. Today we had a super interesting day of price action, and I took a trade that I thought was completely fine, and it ended up just getting completely destroyed, right? So overall, it was a great day to be able to follow the strategy and learn from it. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys some of the lessons that I saw and learned from the market today and give them over to you guys. So without further ado, just hop straight in. All right, so hopping on to the charts, right? We'll start with some top down. So this whole week has been super bearish, right? Let's go to the daily and we'll just look. The entire week has just been pumping to the downside, right? We're back at equilibrium in this range on ES, expecting to break higher. NQ has been a little bit weaker, right? But no problem, right? We're expecting to continue pushing lower. So 4-hour chart is just giving us bearish order flow, all that kind of stuff. And then last night, out of nowhere, around 2 a.m., we just start pumping, right? So this starts to set us up for the AM session. So right around 9 a.m., we opened the market and we're without this little consolidation point, right? So we're within this little point after this big pump to the highs. This to me looks like low resistance liquidity run to these highs. But keep in mind that even if we pump to these highs, we still have a bigger time frame bearish draw, and we go ahead and we have relative equal lows sitting down here, right? So this is potentially a point that we want to see price pull back towards, right? So looking at that, the thing that I'd want to see happen is maybe a sweep of this high, or maybe even some highs all the way up here, and then look to see a reversal to go ahead and run all of this generated liquidity. And then if we're really insane on the day, we can leave runners all the way down to this point. But of course, I'm not expecting that and not looking to take a trade exactly like that. I'm just looking to take it to around this point, right where the generated liquidity ends and the imbalance price action starts, right? So that is my bias going to today. Opening the market, we see a couple things that are pretty interesting to me, right? So opening the market, NQ over here manipulates lower into that imbalance price action and runs all of that generated liquidity, right? So NQ now has no generated liquidity left to run. ES, however, doesn't manipulate, and instead manipulates the highs, right? So we have SMTs on opposing sides of the market. We have ES looking bearish, right? Like it wants to go run the rest of the generated liquidity, and NQ looking bullish, like it just took out this and it wants to go run higher, right? So now I'm going to look at and say, which narrative do I trust more, right? Which narrative do I trust more, and what is price confirming for me? So narrative that I trust more, I always trust the higher time frame more, right? Especially when we have ES just generating clean liquidity, and I'm expecting to see it all get ran, right? Next, I want to see which indice has the structure that I'd want to see to be able to take a trade. So if we look right here on NQ, if this becomes our change of the state level, right? After manipulation, this becomes change of the state. If I took a trade off at this point, my take profit would be right here. So I don't even have to draw the position out to let you guys know how bad of an RR that would be. I would have a stop loss about 4 times bigger than my take profit, right? Like that's just not going to cut it. So after we see all that structure put in, we see ES start to just take off while NQ is looking much lower in the bigger time frame range. So if we pull this thing out, we can go ahead and we can look at how at this point at 950, NQ has already taken all of these highs to the left, or ES has already taken all these highs to the left, where NQ is still struggling to get past this high, right? So to me, that goes ahead and that looks like, okay, we have SMT at this point right here. That looks like a really nice manipulation to go ahead and see if we can get lower, right? So now my whole game is, okay, let's wait for the manipulation, the displacement, and let's wait for price to confirm that it wants to do that. And then we can go ahead and take the trade, right? So I don't think the thought process, there's really anything wrong with the thought process, right? From there, we see external SMT. Now I want to see potentially internal SMT structure get built and change the state with displacement. We see internal SMT get put in right here, looking beautiful. And then we see change of the state with major displacement, right? Right around at 10 a.m. too, so we're within 950 macro that runs from 950 to 1010. This is an A+ trade setup. The only two things that are against this trade playing out are this. Number one, we don't have the cleanest generated liquidity throughout this entire zone right here. From this zone to this zone. This is all inbound price action. If you look, that's exactly where price decides to turn around. So in order to kind of give myself a little bit of insurance from it, there's two things I wait for. I wait for number one, the biggest 1 minute imbalance or the same time frame imbalance to get reversed. And then maybe if I want to, I'll check at the 5 minute and I'll say, can I see a 5 minute imbalance get inversed, right? And then the only issue is that we had this 5 minute imbalance get inversed. This one doesn't get inversed. However, NQ over here inverses its only 5 minute imbalance. So it's a little bit of a toss up on which one you want to trust, right? So zooming lower, I got a good confirmation. We're at a good time. I got my change of the state with displacement. I'm now looking to go ahead and place my limit. So I go ahead and I do that. And if we look right here, this was probably my biggest airball in a while because perfect narrative everything. And this is just proof that the strategy needs to play itself out. Because if we look, 3.72R, I mean, beautiful setup, inversion of order flow, everything's great, right? We see a pullback and this is news. This is Powell speaking. 2 reasons why I didn't decide to not trade while Powell speaking, even though the setup was just so perfect right before him. Number one, I looked at this and I said, it's Powell speaking. It's not FOMC. It's not going to matter. Now looking back at it and educating myself on actually what goes on when Powell speaks, every time Powell speaks, it's going to be a crazy big move. And I mean, that's really as simple as it gets. So when Powell speaks, the best thing to do is trade beforehand or literally just remove yourself from the market, right? One of those two things is always going to give you the best ROI, the best moves, right? The second thing is that yesterday, if you go ahead and watch my video from yesterday, or if you watch anyone else's trade recap from yesterday, PPI happened. And when PPI happened, we had a setup that was super similar to this one, right? Where we see displacement. PPI did exactly this. It literally consolidated for the first candle, just like this did. Nice, that's 959, right? So we consolidated for the first candle, then we spiked, manipulated really hard, and just dumped. Two candle move. Manipulation and dump, right? That was crazy, right? So understanding that news does one thing. It pumps to the already existing draw liquidity. But the drawbacks of taking that advantage that it pumps to the already existing draw liquidity are two things. One, news could be very volatile manipulation, and it could manipulate you out if your stop is not tight enough, or your stop is not wide enough, right? Second thing is that, say it does go ahead and stop you out and moves against you, there's a lot of slippage here, which is exactly like I experienced today. I lost 2.5 times the amount that I actually did want to lose today, right? So I lost a hefty amount more than I wanted to because of slippage. Because when I exit the position here, price is already pumped to right here. So I pretty much lost a ton. I lost 538 on this trade. I wanted to only lose 220, right? So nothing bad about that because I still follow my strategy, still did everything. I was just a victim of that news, right? So that's what happens when you decide to trade with news. You become a little bit more of a victim if news decides to go against you. So nothing really bad about it. In my opinion, this is a trade that I would take any other day. I think the biggest thing to look back at is just like, it's Powell speaking. Powell speaking is going to give a crazy move no matter what. So we can never disregard it. But otherwise, dude, this setup is fire, right? We have lows right here, more lows down here. And then if this gets displaced through, this could also become market structure shift on a bigger time frame that then tells us, okay, yeah, it's time to go ahead and push lower. If price displays through this low, that's confirmation that maybe now we want to go to this fair value gap or this low down here and maybe run this low, right? So I think the narrative, everything was really perfect about price. I got every confluence I need to see, but the only issue is just that Powell spoke, right? So overall, the lesson from today is don't trade in Powell speaking, and that's pretty much it, right? So I hope you guys learned something from today. Adopt some of these lessons to your own trading and really just apply anything that I decided to talk about in this video. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you boys go. Thank you all for listening and have a great one. Peace out.